In this video, we're going to talk about how to negotiate your red line with your EPC before you've even pushed a single deal through them yet. Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Ivan and I help people grow profitable sales orgs in solar while selling over the phone and being location independent. And what I want to do in this video is just lay out a simple process that you can follow to negotiate your red line like a pro with your EPC or your installer before you've even done any business with them yet. So the first thing you need to do when striking a deal with an installer is you got to ask them for volume incentives and red lines. You got to be very diligent of the way you talk to the installer, because the moment they sense that you're a newbie and you're just getting started now, they might treat you a lot differently than if you already have experience in the solar industry. And so being able to show them that you're experienced and you understand how solar works and get to negotiate your red lines, it already shows that you know what you're talking about. Plus, many people actually don't even try to negotiate any of the red lines. They just take whatever they're given. And the first thing you want to do with your installer is you want to ask them if that red line that they give you is set in stone. And you want to test out if they're willing to drop your red line, regardless of whether it's, higher or lower. Even if it's the lowest you can possibly go, you always want to ask because you have nothing to lose. The worst thing they could possibly say to you is, no, we cannot do that. We cannot accommodate to what you're asking at this very moment. And a good rule of thumb is to just, try and lower it by 5 cents. I have 2 rules for the 5 cents, by the way. And the second thing you want to do is, once you've determined what your red line is going to be, you want to ask them if they have any volume incentives. If you start to push a little bit more volume through them and you start sending them a lot more business, let's say they have a volume incentive for, 15 deals or 20 deals or whatever. The way of incentivizing, sales orgs and reps to push even more deals through them is by lowering their red line once they hit a certain milestone. Like for example, if, for some people it might be, 15 jobs a month or 20 jobs a month or, 50 jobs a quarter, it could vary. So it doesn't matter, but you need to know what this is so you have your eyes on the prize. The next rule that I have, which I also like to call the 5 cent rule, is, first of all, if you're building a solar sales org, you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your N1 payments, which is your initial installment of your commission. So in building out a company, you need a lot of upfront cash sometimes to be able to hire people, to be able to pay them, to be able to cover your marketing expenses, the company or the individual that's running the marketing campaigns for you. You have costs associated with the business, just like any other business, right? With solar, it's not that much, and you still need a little bit of money to get going and to make sure that you don't stop the progress. Because I've seen time and time again, people just stall their progress due to, low M1 payments, just not getting paid enough, and once they pay out their commissions to the other salespeople that they have in their company, they're literally like just sitting there like twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the back-end payment or the M2 to kick in order to get things rolling again. You don't want to find yourself in that situation. And so what I like to do is I have a 5 cent rule, and what I do is I simply say to them, look, I need the most amount of money as possible to be able to run this business and to be able to grow it, in order to have exponential growth, which is what we're both interested in, right? So would you be okay? Would you be open to, for example, charging me 5 cents on the back end, so increasing their adder by 5 cents just to release a larger portion of your commission on your M1 or your front end payments? That way, instead of, let's say, getting 20 or 30% of your entire commission of the solar sale, you're going to get 50% with no cap, right? And that's what you got to make sure, because a lot of companies will tell you, we'll do 50%. And then you realize it's not, realistically, it's not 50%. It's just 50%, but the commission is actually capped at $2,000. So obviously, you're going to be making more than, $4,000. Otherwise, what's the point of being in this business in general? So what you want to do is you want to negotiate with your installer, with your EPC. You want to tell them, hey, I can give you that 5 cents on the back end, but would you be able to release 50% with no cap at for my M1 payments so that I can continue to grow and I could continue to send you more business? And you'd be surprised, a lot of people will be able to tell you yes at this point. And the reason why, some people may not want to entertain that idea is because, first of all, they don't know you, okay? And the installer has concerns just the way you do. Their concern is that if they're a clawback, is that guy gonna run away and leave me with, having to pay all this money that I've paid up front to them, as opposed to, is that guy gonna be, stick around and is it here to stay? Because the way it works is the installer will actually pull money out of your next deal when there's a canceled deal, which is obviously what a clawback is. And so another way you can do this is you could tell them, hey, you can get creative and say, hey, I will give you 10% of my entire commission that you can keep in a separate pool of, let's say, safety or whatever you want to call it. And that money is just there. So it's technically almost the same thing. So instead of getting paid out 100% of your commission overall, right, with combining M1 and M2 payments, you're gonna get paid 90%. Technically speaking, you're gonna get paid 50% on M1 and then 40% on M2. So that's the way it works. So you can reverse those. So instead of getting paid, the larger portion of your commission on the back end, you're getting that paid on the front end, which will allow your company to scale and even further and a lot faster too. And obviously, if they're not able to accommodate with your ask right out of the gate, just say, hey, are you open to negotiations? And let's say a month or 2 or 3, once we've already sent you some business and you've we've been able to establish some trust with you. And if the answer is no, and they're very, very stiff in the way they do business, then I might reconsider working with them in the first place. And another thing you can do as well is I would highly recommend to share your goals with your installer. If you want to become big, if you want to have like a 50 or 30 or 40 or 50 guy sales team, working from home all over the country and selling solar over the phone, like share that with them. Just say, hey, I'm about to blow this thing up. Because you're not lying. If that's your goal, just share it with them. Because a lot of people don't do that. And although installers hear that every single day, sometimes that could really, really make a difference, because they might even start treating you differently, because you're not just somebody who's just, looking to send them, 5 or 6, 7 deals a month. Like, you're someone serious that could help them grow, in the process. And so they will appreciate that. So your level of conviction when sharing your goals would make all the difference. So that's gonna conclude this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a massive thumbs up. And all I ask is that if the conversation ever comes up, just please share it with a friend and just say, hey, I've got this guy that I'm learning from. You might find it pretty useful, and then send them a link to my channel. So I appreciate you if you're still watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.